We wanted to see all folks coming together and argue like small kids. That's why we put this discussion. We bring all of you together on this stage. Pachan hina chagar bra sawomun. Mo angki kali ki thago. Mo angki saina hasai diwa apne
Total prohibition on the possession of liquor, sale of liquor, consumption of liquor, manufacturing of liquor in Nagaland, or import or export bhi kurwana dibo. The Act states. Or it much debated ase. Or somewhere Amihan Nagaland Baptist Church Council to hele itu act de punching pack panai dise. You look at any social media platform, you look at any discussion, NPCC to hele to punching back hoise sob manu laga. Then state government laga Saile and Nagaland State Legislative Assembly Saile to somehow they are able to wash off their hands. Jesus ke morai di bole trial time dena pilot corner bra hat tholai lua nishna somehow state government is like they wash off their hands. Idu laga discussion there. Rather situation to analysis kurishe gole to ami khan sob NPCC versus state government nishna hoy kina ase to debate itu discussion to. Aro I was given a remark by a friend of mine. Tai kwa to hele NPCC garni kwa to hele. This NLTP Act is the only issue where criminals in Nagaland and NPCC has come together with. Ekta remark prakodo. Why? Because criminals rabi hole act to khulibole mon nai because they want to continue with their illegal business. Our NPCC rabi itu khulibole mon nai because it's their ethical moral stand. And unfortunate for NPCC. But we also have to acknowledge, I think, the context in which NPCC has come up with this 1989 Act. My senior pastors, reverends, lawmakers can get discussed there. Nagaland was in such a state that itu act to na anile situation to bhal nohobo goina clear cut thagishe goise 1980s te. There was a need for it. So itu la context te itu act to anishe which is justifiable despite itu la failures nohele itu laga progress kinika jaise it's very debatable yet. However, Amikhan Sok, once again, may I remind ourselves that in a state like Nagaland, NPCC to hele mohan laga, nohele church to hele mohan laga moral value, nohele to mohan laga Christian principles to protect kubole karni, if not church, who? So NPCC as a pressure group, as a guardian of our moral and ethical value, NPCC also has every right to be a part, to discuss and share their opinions on this. With this, ami to discussion to khulimo mon jai ase, ami khan la panelist choichun ase, tinchun logote ami itu NLTP Act opening remark dibole karni chance dibo. Our next day election and election process debate kura donde tinta panelist logote time dibo. So it would be 3 minutes each of opening remark, and amikhan NLTP Act laga discuss kura damde. Reverend Dr. Chingmak, amikhan laga pastor, aro we all know amikhan laga Chang Baptist Church Association detai executive secretary gurishe. He runs an NGO called ECS. So the Reverend Dr. Chingmak ase, and next to him is Madam Angbhenla, aro tai to hele Women's Secretary, Phom Baptist Church Council laga ase, aro third te amikhan laga engineer Alongse ase amikhan laga, aro deputy director skill development laga ase tai. Aro sir, can you please raise your hand? Yeah, Sir Khalenmew, and he is also from the church youth secretary Yimkhiung Baptist Church Association laga youth secretary tagishe. Little flirt with politics, again came back to church. So he can speak both on politics as well as church. So such a wonderful mind, and we look forward to have a lot from him also. Then Chingmak koi thagi she tai phal pronounce pre naam to hulibi. I think I'm better than you if you can listen to how I call his name. Zhevihe. That's a very similar way of saying, no? So aji bujur akhoni thik khai kina aise moi. Ito thik olawo gana. So he's part of the member of the Eastern Naga Talk team, and then tribal devi bishi theory Angbhenla Eastern Sumi tribal organizations, they various civil societies, they bishi theory kam kuna more than 20 years of public service experience ase. And Angbhenla last they boigina ase very refined, fine gentleman. Aman laga Sir Thangpong, tai do hele Assistant Deputy Commissioner ase. Itia posted in Sadaka, na sir. So these are 6 of our esteemed panelists. Let me introduce myself. Moi la naam to Ebou Chang ase. I'm working as video. So this is my introduction. So with this, amian panelists so manuke ekbar hat mari dibo ne. So for opening remark on NLTP Act, Dr. Chingmak, then Sir Zhevihe, and yes, Angbhenla ADC Thangpong tahan tinjuma 3 minutes each time logina bachide moi kan laga discussion shuru kurbo. And I remember watching a sermon, and in that sermon, Reverend Dr. Chingmak says, Nagaland is the wettest dry state. I don't know what he means. So with this, I think I'll ask Dr. Chingmak to open your remark. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I see a lot of young boys and girls, and I think the discussion that we're having today, I think we should continue this conversation beyond this room. Apnikan Nijor tribe te jaigana within your own federations when you go back. I think this conversations, this discussion should continue, and it's good that we are starting in a good note on this thing. Moi 1989 de kitia utu prohibition nimide move kurishe. I was a very young person then. Aro utu time de things were really bad. Moi laga bhai dujunbi thagishe, tai dujunbi mudu khai, tai dujunbi drugs khai, and things were really bad. To aji apni gan bara kitia utu discussion olai, you will never understand the emotional connect which the elders have with this whole issue, because it was breaking up families. Every second home, problems were happening, quarrelings were happening, things were getting stolen, the churches were being affected, schools were being affected. And so it was in that given context that the elders got together. And it's the elders who got together and they said, Utu Nohobo. And I remember in Kohima, all the reverends were called and they fasted unto death. So there is this emotional connection when it comes to this act. So I think the church will never be able to unofficially, when you sit with them, unofficially your pastor will say, Hoi ho, abnean guabi thikase. When you go to your reverend, they will say, Hoi ho, abnean guabi thikase. That will always be there. But as an official statement, it will be very difficult for the church. That's one thing I think all of us will have to understand. And so I would like to say, you can never expect a pastor to stand on the pulpit and say, please use condoms. He will never say. And we should not expect. Or for the pastor to say, extramarital affair is okay. You cannot expect a pastor to say that, because that is sacrosanct. The pastor will never say that on the pulpit. So also it's become in that same length when you come to this whole Prohibition Act. So pastor brother kitabi officially do to live kuribi no kobo. That's one thing that I want to let you all understand. But one of the things that I'm seeing is Amigan be research kuribo lage. And research is not happening, and the kind of debates which are happening are all paper war happening. Nagaland government bhi paper dehi likhibo. NBCC bhi paper dehi response dibo. But real practical dialogue has not happened with NBCC. I'm sure if the government of Nagaland, elders, tribals sit with NBCC and have a discussion, and if we come up with research, okay, there's a research on Bihar. Bihar is also a dry state. There's a research on Bihar where it clearly shows that because of ban on alcohol, drug use has increased. There's a data on that. Gujarat, the increase of black market, there's a research on that. Now all of you young boys and girls sitting here, I'm sure when you have party you drink. I will not ask this question to Mr. Chingmak, but that's besides the point. I'm not saying of that. Hulibi moilaga point to, how is it that there are 10 young people, only 2 are drinking, and the 8 people are not drinking? I think these are larger questions. All of you are here. I'm sure none of you are drunkards here. And that's why you were chosen to be a leader. And so the larger question is, Dosta majuti kili pasta tu mudu khai, pasta tu kili mudu na khai. And this is what we have to debate with the church. I think this is where the church has to begin understanding that there is a section of young people who are susceptible to drinking. There's a section of boys and girls who are susceptible to drug use. But even if you throw drugs, even if you throw alcohol, there are some young people who don't drink. So I think it again goes back to our church. It goes back to our home. It goes to our families. It goes to show that parenting is an area where the church has to focus its energy. And these are the dialogues which has to happen. And I have a feeling these dialogues are not happening. And so I feel if we sit with them and dialogue with them, the church will be open and willing to understand. Lastly, I also want to say, Mizoram also has the same law. They are also a dry state. But if you look at Mizoram, you will find that they enacted in 1997 and they lifted in 2015. And after 5 years, again in 2020, they again imposed the ban. Again, this year, they're talking about lifting the ban on items like kiwi wine, 5% alcohol, ginger ale, 3% alcohol. Let's allow this. Or rice beer. These are traditional drinks, so let's allow. And this is the debate happening. I'm sure if there is a kind of a dialogue telling the church, let's lift the ban for 2 years and let's see, come no it will ban it. I'm sure the church will also be willing. Will it be church laga muk purado, ban lift kuribo inegado, nokobo. Because they took a moral stand. And it's for the government, for the community, and to all of us to say, we are lifting it for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Aro noile church kotla kotha manibo. And these are the kind of quality debates that has to happen. And that is not happening. I don't know if anyone has gone to NBCC officially. Will it be moi janata officially NBCC lo boigana, chukadi boigana, Jewish boigana, kotha patiya nisna. This kind of dialogue has not happened, I feel. And so I'm sorry, I think I took more than 3 minutes. But with those words, I would like to pass on.
Due respect to the esteemed members present inside the hall, well, I want to begin in this way. Every issue has taken its own shape with different backgrounds. And therefore, the NBCC, with a good intention, backed by the Naga woman who has taken up this initiative. But with the changing circumstances, Joa Kali 1989 to Ajinohoi, one must keep in mind. Aji Ate Hoa Takatu, I endorses the opinion given by our former ES, Dr. Chingmak. Ki hoya aise? Joa Kali laga to hole mani domestic violence, nohole mani commotion, ki problem ha nimite into impose hoi kina thaibo pare. Kintu on the other hand, aji ki jai aise. We must rely on practical background of the present environment. Sabi, just for a simple instance, Joa Kali 1989 there is not the fact figure into approximately the women influence under alcohol could be around certain percentage, around 10 plus or something like that. Into Aji Laga data show Guru Thagatu, when it is a dry state, it has increased to 38%. Very dramatic. Second question. Yate ekta ponder Guru bole Thagatu hole mane. We must also acknowledge the NBCC for the initiative. Kintu, Puila Guanishna changing time Hoshiki, NBCC must also rely on the contemporary realities. So, if at all, Amika need to blame Keli Thagishe Golemani. NBCC la guilty prase no le money state government prase koi taxi ko le money, things will never work. Now we must understand the position of each other. Kile, the dignity and integrity of the NBCC cannot also be questioned. In the meantime, the position of the government, those elected peoples are the God's chosen leaders, installed by the God. It is His purpose. We must keep in mind. So, government is also God's appointed authority to rule over His people, to take care of the welfare of the people. Kintu at the same time, interference, blame things will never go forward. So, to come across and understand each other's position and work to the workable mechanism, that is solution I will not give ekta bhabe. No hole money. Ekta aroinika kovole mona say. Now, we must talk about the lack of revenue. State is reeling under financial crisis. Amikani to koi thage. Kinto, how much revenue that we are losing? Nagaland is a West state. Kintu ita Dimapur instance ami kobo, out of the sale of alcohol, that alone contributes more than 50 lakhs income a day. So judi Nagaland Dimapur particular law koi thakle mane every nook and corner when it has been legalized, 2-3 taxia bare kintu, if I'm not mistaken, taking the instance of the present headquarter of Tingsan, it could have increased more than 300 boozing corners.
So please wrap up in 30 seconds. Yes.
Okay. So আমি খানে আরো একটা ভাবনা করে চাব, যদি ডিমাপুৰ একলাতে এনেকা আছে কলে মানে আসামতে কিমান ফ্লড কৰি আছে, Itu nimite income nathaka nohole mani paisa nathaka nimite American employment problem be visualize. And I think I better end up.
Thank you. Let's ensure that 3 minutes is maintained.
After listening this, I'll go straight to the point. Now, this issue of prohibition of liquor is something one topic where we have animated discussions and debates going on. It's a very hot topic, and even today, our panelists, in the course of our further discussion, maybe our viewpoints may be different, but that's okay. That's the purpose, and the audience will look from there and think, and then proceed further. Now, Naga is one of the few states in India that have a prohibition of liquor in place. Among the few states, when Dr. F also Chingmak also mentioned, Gujarat is one which has prohibition in place since the 1960s, and one of the strictest regimes that prohibition on liquor. And Bihar in 2016, Lakshadweep, Mizoram, and our state, Khalenmew. Now, just run us through some arguments, generally not specific to Naga, like we generally like for academic purposes. One group for prohibition and another group against prohibition. So just few arguments, not exactly specific to Nagaland. So the arguments in favor of prohibition is it reduces domestic violence and crime, improves public health and family welfare, and then aligns with certain religious and cultural values in a particular context. And the arguments against prohibition is it leads to illicit liquor trade and black markets, often leading to these syndicates. Then the loss of major tax revenue for state governments. Then increase in smuggling, corruption, and unsafe alcohol consumption due to the spurious or adulterated drinks, and enforcement challenges. These are the, like, not specific to Nagaland, but these are rough arguments for and against. Now, let's have a look at some data and statistics and think about it. Now, according to a survey, the drinking population of the states. So, according to the National Family Health Survey, NFS, conducted in 2019 and 21, the national average is 18.7%, the drinking population in India. Now, among the states overall, Arunachal has the highest, 53%, which means more than half of the population drinks in Arunachal. Now coming to our state, we have 24.0%. This is the latest one. My co-panelist was mentioning that was the earlier one. So a little, it has come down. So currently it's 24%. Now Gujarat, where prohibition is in place, it is given as 5%. Now from this statistics, we can analyze, or we can say something that regarding our state in the context of Nagaland, whether it's a failure or it's a success. So from this rough statistics also we can say that I think Nagaland is a failure, because it is touching 24-30% drink, even though it's supposed to be a dry state, still the drinking population is more than 25%, 24%. Now, just setting aside even the figures also, we know that even though Nagaland is supposed to be a dry state, illicit liquor is available across the state abundantly. In Kohima and Dimapur also, in the evenings, these chips and mineral water bottles displayed in the shops. At the backside, liquor is available. So that is the reality. Now, so to surmise here, since it's an opening remark, I won't go into the details. Later in the course of our discussion, we may counter arguments, give our counter arguments. Now, in the context of our state, we can conclude that it is becoming a failure. That's why, because of that, recently there is an increasing voice to lift the prohibition. Now, when I am asked for my personal opinion, whether you are for or against,
So I want to say, I may differ from my co-panelists, later on we'll come to the discussion. So it's not a simply yes or no. It's not a simply yes or no. And because, just for one instance, if we say, if you lift the prohibition, then everything will be all right, perfect. It's not the case. It's not as simple as that. Because even if you lift the prohibition tomorrow, if proper mechanisms are not into place, then more problems, unexpected consequences will also happen. Just for example, I was just talking about the drinking population. So I don't know, among the audience, how many of us drink? So when the, supposing, just one understanding, the prohibition is lifted. Now liquor shops will be available with attractive things. Then some non-drinking population may also expose, and then it also Nah, it's not at all. So let me try. So non-drinking population may also try. That is also the argument that's been given.
30 seconds more to wrap up.
Anyway, so that's the case now. Coming with what the moderator was saying earlier, NBCC has become a punching bag in all this mess. Now, coming to that, I just want to say, there's a legal framework. So in the case of Nagaland, NBCC has become a punching bag. Even now, so NBCC prohibition is not lifted. But it's not the case. There's a legal framework. Gujarat is not a Christian state, but it is in place. So just one argument I want to say. So according to Article 47 of the Indian Constitution, Directive Principle of State Policy, it encourages the state to work towards prohibiting these intoxicating drinks and drugs injurious to health. So it depends on the political will of the state government, and this prohibition of liquor is also a state subject. So the state government, if it has the will, no matter whatever their justification is, if it has the will, it can lift the prohibition. But certain checks or certain things, certain mechanisms should be in place. Like not just regulating the timings of the bars or the limit. That is not enough. That's what I want to say. So, like my co-panelist was saying, proper dialogue, proper discussions have to take place at different levels and come into. Even if we have to lift the prohibition, certain mechanisms should be there. Otherwise, we will have to face some unintended consequences. It may be messier than what it is now. That for now, I'll leave it from here for the discussion.
Thank you, sir. Tinjin Brabe, wonderful comments and insightful thought. Thank you. The mode of the discussion will be like this. We will all agree that Mohan La points to disagree. However, still Mohan in a very civil way, action over the mat slighting nugrigina, Aramikhan debate to Amikhan for a better opinion to come up, for a better suggestion to come up. And Amikhan the society de aji laga discussion by impact krobole karni Amikhan discussion do counter Korea bachi kurigena discussion to jabo idubra could be emotionally charged novo aro audience ke bhi time dibo aro questions lobo audience ke bhi. So Amikhan bhi apne la thoughts aro questions gari ready thakibi. Tinjin la comments paise, but at first I would like to go to a single lone lady with us, a mother. Ma'am, as a mother, apni bacha ki kite bhi party jadam da condom na dibo. Ama ekta rana bacha ki condom na dibo, no doubt. Agree kuri ase. Hoile bhi apni laga bacha khan to HIV bra muria ase don. To idu HIV bra muria to protect krubole, preserve krubole karni people like Amikhan laga sir Zhevihe, people like sir Thangpong khan to goise. Apni chupchap poi bhi mohan condom dibo goise to. Just to save your children. So Amagan bra NLTP Act bhi, as a mother apni khan to stand to rakhibi. As a church apni khan to stand to rakhibi. But let us do our job. Kwa time de, what is your opinion as a mother? And where does the mother stand? Where does the church stand? So apni la opinion alop lobo ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm 1983 born, so based on a little tinge of my experience, I wanted to bring forth my argument. See, I grew up personally. This is a personal experience sharing. I grew up in a family where my mom was beaten up day and night by my father on the influence of alcohol. And where my brother, 2 elder brother and I, we were dramatized and we had to live the reality of painful life every day on the pretext of alcohol. Where my brothers were kicked and materially we lost everything that we owned. That is why, as a mother, dear moderator, I cannot say yes to alcohol in open street nor in black market. Secondly, states which has adopted total prohibition or partial terming like that we talked about Bihar, the Gujarat or the Mizoram, or even in expansive general researches that scholars have done, I must say that this is the sole factor. But alcohol and drinking has been attributed as one of the major factors leading to domestic violence, untimely demise of certain people, those who are engaging in alcohol, and also road accidents. And thirdly, as the spiritual mother of my land, and as a spiritual mother to the women of Nagaland too, with that responsibility, funerals after funerals I go attending the death of young fathers because of alcohol. And I am dealing, this is my 3rd year, dealing with young widow programs, how to rehabilitate them. So this is the issue I struggle. And that is why with that, I have a problem with alcohol, free flow availability in our state. Lastly, honestly, as a mother, from a mother's point of view, I am raising 2 sons of my own. One is 4 years and one is 9 years. And I would never want to raise my 2 sons in a state or a street where they are told that a substance abuse or something as harmful as alcohol, addictive as alcohol, is legally available, and in your age, you can take it. That's my point. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. That's some of the insights. Palasi to comment to. I'll again like to get some substantiate credible monazis Khalenmew bra. Kwan ishina legally paigina ami hala bacha khan biya banai dibole mon nai aro morai dibole mon nai kuise. But one of the data says that ami khan idia legally bado good quality wine pabo, illegally bado spirits pabo. So in one of the debates I have watched, a person saying, "Moi laga baba to 1989 agede mutu khai thakise, 47 years te morise. Moi laga bhai to after NLTP Act to impose hora bachite mutu khaise, tai 37 years te morise. So NLTP Act bachite to hele to 10 saal age more goe. So ma'am, as a mother, अपनी बच्चा तो खा मानो तो खा बोली ही ऐसे सर एज ए चर्च लीडर अपनी ला कॉन्ग्रेगेशन लगा चर्च मानो तो खा बोली ऐसे और लेकिन स्पिरिट्स खाले 10 साल आगे मोरे और लीगलाइज कर दिसे गले 10 साल और भी लाइफ तो থাকিবो और इन्फ्लक्स ऑफ अल्कोहल तो हेले NLTP एक्ट तो इन्फोर्स আছে but I have been to in discussion with police station also to Ensang police station te bhi jai ke na NLTP Act to ahigena pachite, it has doubled influx of liquor into Tuensang. Moi wine store laga malik na NLTP licensed wine store holder khan ge khudi saise. Tuensang de wine store 3ta thakise. 2ta license but 3 jun bra khuligena thakise. Per month inflow to kiman ase 1500 case legally ai thakise. Illegal Tuensang te ai thaka nai. Itia illegally ato Tuensang town alone amikhan 3,000 case nishna approximately per month ahi ase kuche, which is double under NLTP. Tinda license thakise, tinda dukan dehi bigaise. Itia to hele to nearly 200 homestay Tuensang town under the Mutubiga Korasi. 200 core nishna. Now this is pragmatic reality. So ito nishna context will the church continue to say itu act to revisit nogrubo, itu revisit kurbo kole mokan curse abni lobby fast ando that kurbo? Will you continue with that statement or take us a act of revisit kurigina, discuss kurigina, debate kurle bhala se kona church laga opinion to kiniga dibo sir.
Hello. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the ENSF president and his team for bringing this wonderful program. Itya church te do bhanla reverend aro madam ase moi do church na hoina posti manu represent kore mon jai a villager kile ole likha bura man sab jane bole bi as a villager church ko bole bi apni koise moi do flirt kone kara che to bra villager nambra villager I want to represent a villager itu spurious ase itu high quality ase itu do likha bura manu bra ulta banai de posi manu nimiri kita sabo alcohol do World Health Organization dunia di itu body nai they have considered they have studied dan declare kushe alcohol itu ethanol liquor do group 1 carcinogen cancer form kurala number 1 ase group 1 ase declare kurise it is already there and it is a scientific fact bible bi na chobo India de one Christian state ase China Hindu Muslim dusan non Christian country it's author ase food safety and standard authority of India FSSAI bra mutu laga bottle de drinking is all injurious to health to injurious quade ki phala ase now this year January February Mumbai High Court idu case dise idu likha hi na hoy there are some bosti manu na puriole na jane injuries to health na jane pictorial warning I will say and then soon it is coming in India pictorial warning thing is saying that itu khaise gole cancer lagibo idu talab shekar ki hande al sakan dian na pictorial warning thakibo lage idu thaka biche if consumer right ase I should know that if I consume this if I drink this cancer lagibo itu lagi ase so if it is like that forget about Christian, Hindu, Muslim, Charibi. It dominated. It Nagaland for Christ Charibi. Injuries to health ase bole do spurious and spurious ki ase. And then even VIPs bole bi top class khai thaibo pare. But the other time, kile bole do Christian, non-Christian laga do spurious and spurious la na ho. It is medically proven that is carcinogen idu ase. And then so many cancer idu related thanu hoy ase gose. So not as a church. But as a human being, it is not good for health. It is good for health as they do church can do ki go do. Never. Itya ethanol. Itwan bishale. Itwan kanden hale. To ethanol to saise moi this time program pa je saise le idu petrol khan de ki ande fuel de hale go. Idu muju de hale. And then idu ora behavior be change kori die. Ki man koile bi egg pack for appetizer titi koile bi it is addictive. Kaise bole do nisa hua na hoye na ek class khabra posti mano de English ko start na hoye tense gurule kotha na han bi koi jai so it is not good for health and then please give me some minute ido madam bra ko laga alcohol do health problem ase family problem ase traffic problem ase economic problem ase social problem ase political problem ase electioneering de hole political problem ase religious problem do na ko bi do it is moral value pravi now like and then even in relationship problem bi ase de legal do young people parents prakun pravi nichor laga pacha laga spouses mudu kha manu ge chai de bole man nai that's why theology pura manu maijan sob do army officer khan bra nailo de sabai khan ba politician bra loilo ase kile bole as a parent I want my son kha manu do theology pura manu maki loishi kole hi taige olo control kubo itu attitude ase do that is a reality that's the fact so the church will never come to that box.
Sir, just apni mujhe 1 minute 30 seconds to respond kuri. You were talking about ethanol which is injurious to health. Hoile bi apni khan distilleries, illegal distilleries te jaile, ethanol to expensive ase, methanol haligina dibo. Methanol to hele to 10 sal advance morai dia laga to ase. Ethanol to hele to 37 years life thakibo. Methanol to kaise goile to 27 hi thakibo, which is more worse. So apni laga bacha ke na khabi koile bi khaboli ase. So ethanol dibole mon na methanol dibole mon.
Itu tidak na dibo. It is injurious to health. Ethanol lobi, methanol lobi, it is injurious to health. So I will never. I would look for, as a Christian, as a family, itu manla traditional system ki ase, as a human being ki aise, na. Itu church, as a church coalition, itu kida traditional kobo itu rice per ki ai jau pare.
Sir, I'll stop you here. Engineer Alongse is long waited. Sir, I mean like discussion to ethanol, methanol, aro amikhan ethics and moral values, and I mean something discuss kure. I would like to quickly, I want you to chip in into discussion around here. What is your opinion on what we are discussing right now?
Before I proceed further, I really want to congratulate our ENSF President Chingmak. You have really done an excellent job.
Drinking and driving, there's a penalty. Doctor when we go to a doctor, I've been to multiple doctors for multiple reasons because most of my mom's life has been in running around hospitals. I've never seen a doctor recommending anyone to take alcohol as a prescription. Parile, don't take, stop, limit, somewhere down the line to gut them. Education institution, when we go to a workplace, there's a restriction for alcohol. No alcohol is allowed in hospital jurisdiction. Church does not allow alcohol. In its criteria of bringing church members board, we always have a list where it says the person should not be an alcoholic. Election policy there, alcohol is not encouraged, it is not allowed. Classroom deny, hospital, health institution, nothing. Alcohol is not allowed in any sections and settings of workplace.
Ma'am, that is not understood.
No.
My question here
Yes,
is,
I'm
will
coming,
the
yeah.
church allow and the mothers allow?
That's why. That is why I'm coming to that point.
Yes,
Okay.
the state to do it.
Yes. So, an alcohol which is not allowed in any part and sections of the society, how can a mother allow this to be legalized? Nah. Bihar is a history of more than 3 lakhs or crores of people creating a human chain linking to 3,000 kilometers so much, where women came up front to say no. It is destroying our children. My husband is dying. I am being abused day and night. And men under the influence of alcohol in many of the cases are raping and molesting women. I cannot say no, as I cannot say yes to alcohol legalization from that perspective. Thank you.
Ma'am, just to counter on what you're saying,
Yes. Yeah.
Tuensang, there were only 3 wine stores. Boost joints Tagana.
Yes.
Now, one of the data it says, Tuensang says 200 mudu khora ase question. 200 mudu khorde, 200 amma, or perhaps 400 children. Charta to kati ase. Perhaps 400 to 500 children are living in that 200 houses.
Okay.
Now that the kimanda mota, kimanda chokra every day I can do boost joints the mudu khai ase. How about the safety of those mothers? How about the safety of those children? If you're talking about the safety of women and children, 200 boost joints there, iman taki effect hua do, rape kura do, atrocities jaha do, abuse kura do. So these people simply mean to say, license dikena duijan ki kurbo dibi na, 200 family safe kurbo do ko aise do. So how do you say? Just comment on this.
It depends on intervention and person's personal choice. There's always a choice. Right now, like legalization is an issue where, like for example, I just wanted to hit on my point, just a bit. I, as a women's secretary and as a chairperson to a foundation that I run, we are doing an intervention in Longlang. Alcohol ase, alcohol became young widow. I came across a young widow. Her husband died of alcohol, and then she started this business because she needed a livelihood. I intervened, and through this intervention, now she just last 3 weeks back, she has opened a grocery store as the right option. Now, so let us intervene. Now, like, see, alcohol selling, whether it's a black or open market, is not only hitting on mother's responsibility.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I'll stop you there. Sir Thangpong, can you chip in onto this point?
If maybe allowed to chip in, like I commented earlier, for and against, we are divided into two groups now, basically. Now, this, like I mentioned earlier, I want to stress again, there is a legal framework to put prohibition acts in place. So, like I still stick to my point that if the state government wants to lift the prohibition, they can do it, citing that directive principles of state policy, article number 47. Now, like my co-panelists, Reverend Dr. Rimar have mentioned, we can have dialogue, no doubt, but we can never expect the NBCC or the church to come out from their mouth, okay, so actually the honors in the state government. So any public, in a democracy, that is, we are not in a monarchy, so in a democracy, every policy, every decision is good for the, should be good for the public. So if the government feels this has become a failure, so all this analysis done, they can have dialogue with the church people, the NBCC, but I think it's misplaced. It's a misplaced conception because they'll never officially agree. But and then so we are going ahead. Meetings, I don't know, but maybe there may be some other factors which Alongse was mentioning earlier, some hidden things which we cannot really express it out also. But maybe the government feels like playing game conditioner. So itu khuli dise gule the government may for and that's against the government that itu ila kurse Christian state asena itu connect grass wala. Otherwise there's a legal framework. Any act that is even prohibition enshrined in the Constitution, Article 47 of the Indian Constitution, directive principles.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I'll stop you here. And then, itu question to Dr. Chingmak Chang, I want to come back to you. There is a legal framework. The state government can do and can even legislate or re-legislate whatever act is there. But the state government still somehow internal agenda ki aise na jane, still blaming the NBCC only. In a way, what we are getting to understand from the discussion right now. So, what in your opinion the state government should be doing, and should the NBCC be stopping the legislation that state government should be coming up with?
Yeah, so lately if you look at the media, usually the media argument, the dialogue in the media is coming to what our brother said about revenue loss. This is the only argument which the government gives. So for the church, life is more than revenue. So that we're wrong. I think we're climbing the wrong tree by bringing revenue as an argument, because for the church, 100 crore cannot equate to one soul. That's the way we look. So the church will never accept that argument. That's number one. So the dialogue has to be around the issue of the issues and problems of what you were mentioning about what you call dilutions, or all of that. So I think that's one way of looking at it. The other thing is, as Brother Thangpong was saying, that's exactly what I want to say. Apnikan church ki force kurliwe, the church will never say use condom mukpara. Though we know harm reduction is important, though we know HIV is going out, how can you expect the pastor to say use condom? He will never say that. So, going by that argument, I think it's for the government to make a stand. That's why I'm giving the example of Mizoram. Mizoram lifted, they banned it. They lifted, they banned it. So you give it a try. And that is the way the government should also take, rather than blaming the church. That's my point. Because the church has made a point. They have said it is wrong. We all stood together, and then we have a legislation.
Thank you, sir. I'll stop you here. Sir Zhevihe, I'd like to come back to you. Itia ami khan la discussion te bujia hisabte. Aro NPCC ke to punching bag nishna rakhi kina ase tahan la job nogre. That's what we are made to understand. Itia laga discussion te. To be very bluntly and straight coming to you. Now you as a leader of our tribal organization, as a leader of Eastern Naga People Organization, prominent leader ekta ase. So what is the role of NGOs, especially like the ENPO, the ENSF in this regard? Now blame game to khili thakile solution nababo. So NGOs like ENPO and ENSF khanbra itu case te apne la stand to kinika lobo lage. How can you be a bridge as a tribal organization, bridge between the MPCC and also the state government? How do you look at it?
Considering the fact, I mean, you brought all many inter-tribals to represent the group. Kintu, in my personal perspective and analysis, I mean, dekhiye aha to hole mani on several platforms through social medias, opinion people kursaiche. Now it is more or less 80 in favor of 15, 20 in favor of inika thagibo kote ase ekta. We must ensure that American debt law kotha ko ase it could be too inhuman to come and kuratan de. Debt law kotha ko ase the causes we all know. Kintu knowing the fact that it is injurious, kintu ini khai ase to na. Manu to jonom kuri thagibo murbo de ekta. Aro church laga sanctity la kotha koise bolibi we all are believers. Kintu we must ensure that the weeds and the rice will grow together. Ekta. The magnanimity we can maintain gurugena thaka to hole mani church laga to hole mani taila sanctity to hole mani nika maintain good hole. We don't raise our voice. Maximum reservation restraint gurugena bohe. Kintu knowing the fact ita inika laga kothate problem te thaise kole mani আমি খান failure to hoise koi ase kintu way forward to kote ase na research to loisane to they have never involved the experts involved wo digina let the government take its own decision mohole mani itia laga status tole mani I personally feel that the competency of the government is in question. NBCC khan to hole mani ta khan laga status to maintain kuri thagibo kintu as they have agreed they'll never say yes, but if the government come forward with certain mechanisms of how to improve and how to practically implement suggestion to hole mani inflow to bishi thagibo, then the things will get improved. That's what I feel.
Thank you, sir. Sir Alongse, I want to come back to you. NPCC and the church will keep its stand and forward. And what is the solution? As an ENSF president, what do you say on this?
Thank you. Actually, I just want to give you one background as to why we have put this topic in the discussion. We wanted to see all folks coming together and argue like small kids. That's why we put this discussion. We bring all of you together on this stage. Pachan is not chagar brasawomun. Mohanki kaliki thago. Mohanki saina hasai diwa mange. So that was one reason.
You naughty boy.
And actually, I was so surprised when our Reverend mentioned about the names of the alcohol. Kinna ka chanish hai? It be possible.
Foreign to bishi birai na.
We have the ENSF have the opportunity to attend the state level consultative meeting 2-3 times. So where the state machineries were there, the civil societies were there, the churches were there, and especially when it comes to church, MBCC and Catholic Association of Nagaland, we were there. We were all discussing. Every one of us were giving our own opinions, and even for ENSF, we made sure that we place a written record before the government of Nagaland. So we came up with 16 points as to why the act should be lifted. So we have even submitted to government of Nagaland on that day. I was quite surprised because the privilege was given to everyone. So everyone spoke one after another. And lastly, even I don't know how many of you are Catholic, but I really appreciated what the Catholic Association has mentioned that day. And I want to make all of you understand that they said, if this act is doing more harm than good, if this act is doing more harm than good, I think it is better that the government of India government of Nagaland relook into the act. And then our father MBCC came, and they said this act was imposed with tears of reverence. Sugumane girigina, fasting loigina, kiki question so isogito poi so manu. That was the argument actually. I'm not saying that MBCC never did any research on also. Holibi, amakan lang 1989 di. Mother Association gan, Reverend gan, fast undertake kurina. Itu suku bani berapa nalaga ase. We all got scared. CM almost left the discussion. Nah, itu ni sina. So, as ENSF, mohon kita ba ENSF kan kat-kati di wak chai. So, asam de. So we happened to witness one very interesting thing there. So there was this one daily wage earner who came to a wine store. Mondi wine store de kile wak chai bi na jane edu din. So that fellow came. He asked for a small amount of liquor. Mangi. He took that. Na idu loise pani mix bona khai she khushi na khor jai jese. Whereas student leaders to know itu pura mon student din ha dan dila. Our student leaders kam mudu khai go baro. Whereas Nagaland bra jagan Assam di wak jagan do kari bota jai jese. As if there's no tomorrow. Kali mudu na bawa nisna. But that's one thing that we really need to think also. Now, my church ki itu ko mon dai jese, because I was thinking after the meeting, church ki ko mon jado, Bible is the truth. Bible church platform hosa kotha kobo lage. So today we are saying that church can never say that khulibi mutudon khulibi kobo na pare kuse. Then who will speak the truth then? I think it should be the church platform coming and saying that precious higher so itu act kido. Khulibi, I think it's time now. MBCC, the church leaders, let's come together. Itu to biya hoya ase. I think itu kiba rasta to khulile hobo na ki. This is our initiative to impose ban on it. Hulibi ikia lagabi sai jalibe it is doing more harm than good. Now, if a bird is thirsty, moi laga baba goi thage moi post I belong to Thangpong village, Burma also laga. Baba baba every year Africa laga jiria bosti di pani khawle ai goise. Africa di pani na bai do. Na South Africa laga Sahara desert laga jiria kando Thangpong di khawle ai goise to pani khawle, because South Africa is so dry, they don't have water. So kimman bias lagile na, no matter how far the destination is, I will ase no le amakan khatkati jaboli ki interest ase. Iku tourist place bi no na, iku tourist destination bi no kiba park bhal thaka bi no. But Nagas, we love to visit Khatkati because we are like that bird. Amagando Nagaland Thagando, we are like the thirsty bird, Sahara desert laga. So I think the church should also start to speak the truth. Rules to, because that's not, if you have to deviate away from the Bible, itu to church be kalti was it go. This is something manu jama guna panala laws ekta hoi jawra. If the church has to speak the truth, then they should speak the truth. Aro government, because the onus lies with the government. So government give it hanki guru ase guruwa dile pal. And number one. Secondly, I happened to visit a doctor at Delhi, PLK Max. Moi ekta gaon olop bimar lagise. Aro madam ageli goise doctor ra mudu khabi kita bi nogo. That doctor told me, "Amni na, you are a young guy. Amni, no seriously. Reverend was Dr. Hindok was there with me. Aro tai bra goise apnu mudu khaile na notice lado na khabe. If you come to Delhi, you can come. You can drink as much as you want, because itu ethanol goina ageli discuss kura jai. Ethanol lagado, we know that is made out of ethanol, so we have medicine for that. But notice laga mudu khagando ki ase bole do, we don't know what kind of medicine is used. Itu ra apni kan bhi itu notice lado na khabe, and that is how people are dying because of mudu khabra. Itu ase itu ra namati yaro.
Thank you. Dr. Chingmak, ENSF President very remarked how bishi dise. But one thing that I think to be noted is that church threatened gina thakise goide now, which perhaps is wrong, because I think division of state and the church is separate. Yes, the church can put its opinion, but the church cannot enforce its morality into legislation. That is, I think you understand well. So, itu context there, and then way forward, how do we bridge? Again, NBCC ke hi hodai punching bag recognize state government is having its own agenda. That's what we understand. So, how do we bridge? In a concluding remark, we had 1 hour of discussion. 10 minutes nishinai progress, but 1 hour hoise. So with Dr. Chingmak's comment, I would like to close this discussion. Yeah. Yeah, just 1 minute.
Yeah, instead of this leaf kurwa lage itu lagan hoina pia se gole, what about thing about uplifting it, implementing it, ekpar thai gul sabo, because itu pia se already scientifically, medically, spiritually, socially pia se health problem itu pia se gole, what about itu killing more deed extra ni bide thai gul sabo ibi government church sob milabo, NGO sob milabo, aro itu excise department ole village kon sob milane ekpar thai gul sabo paranoi bole eko nohoy apni itu leave kuribi, but itu implement kurbole laga we have so many provisions bole bi itu nasai gena itu leave kurbole hi koi thaki ase. So I think we have to look on the other side, the brighter side, and then itu issue do the church is there. So badu itu family de ole bi individually sob ke itu choice gena uplift kurbole itu laga act more deep enforcement kurbole in total enforcement kurbole. We have to think of that option also. Thank you.
Just ADC Thangpong is here. Since he being from the law enforcement, total ban kurbole karni ko ase, is this a viable way? Sir, can you kindly comment 1 minute?
I'll try to shorten this as much as possible. From the little experience and the exposure in the field regarding this, I just want to make some comments. Total prohibition, it's put into place now. I have listed out among the arguments against prohibition is enforcement challenges. It's very rare because the right authority to enforce is the excise department. But we know, I can't deal with everything, but I'm not privy to all the details also. But then the excise department is so understaffed that they themselves, the officers, they tell us. So in the outpost, they have no presence. So in the outpost, we, the administration and police used to do it, just routine checking. So from there, I just want to make some point. Time is running out, but then maybe in the conclusion also we can come to that point. So the NBCC kan inga koi gana legal framework is there, prohibition is in place. Walibi mahala kam do hoise. Koi no than is na hoise. Punching back to in a way. In BCC, they have a lot of things to do also. So I'll also give one more punch in the end. But then, there's a problem. The police or excise department mostly act on information. So information is like routine surprise checking, then in reality, what is happening is Nagaland is just show paper can be few cases to July se Pelai se. So acting on information, we used to do surprise checking and then to share. But in reality, to be frank, I don't know. Sorry? Yeah. So only the small fishes are caught and then shown in paper. But like the moderator was telling, before the prohibition came, itu laga prohibition yati bungji ase. To itu police nile excise department ke information nati ne kini aya ase. It's a big question mark. Now coming back to that lifting of prohibition also, like I still maintain my stand that just lifting it on paper and then that will not solve the problem. It's not as easy as that because it may happen. It has spurious distilleries, illegal it's not just coming out like that. So who knows? When the thing is lifted, the same people may be given the major distributors and thick enforcement excise department, the law enforcement, without proper mechanism, the same people may do it and then government may not be able to control it. So
I'll
that also we have to
Yes, I'll stop you there. Thank you.
And just one more point to the NBCC or the church people. So as of now, or even later on also, one attitude. It depends on the attitude change and I think our attitude and the mindset should also change. That should be our conclusion, I think, involving all the stakeholders. Now, NBCC church people also, they stigmatize the drinking population. Church tapi heaven na jabo. Those who drink na jabo. Now, without going, the church, the pumps that I'm talking about they are interested in making big buildings without looking into details. Counseling gurbo, kiki sale bonabo to deal with the alcoholics, to go counseling.
Yes, thank you.
That's why all this prayer rooms are mushing up. And then the actual mainstream churches drunkards ahe also there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now to wrap up, I'll give it to Dr. Chingmak. Yeah, you can wrap up with your views.
Yeah. So, anyway, it was a very interesting discussion. See, my point, again, I want to repeat. As a church, as a father, as a mother, ekta baba, ma, ekta church laga mukpara, it will never say we approve gay marriage. Church will never say extramarital affairs is okay. Church will never say drinking is okay. See, even within the church, there are some churches where alcohol is legal. So there are different churches. In Nagaland, fortunately, unfortunately, it's the NBCC, which is the dominant body, where doctrinally alcohol is wrong, So church laga mukpara to kirebi no labo. That is the point I want to repeat again. Itubara. In the assembly, it is the 60 MLA. It's not NBCC's general secretary who will sit there. Why don't the general assembly of the state assembly make legal, sanctions or whatever Brother Thangpong is saying? I think I would end with that. Rather than constantly using the church as a, I sometimes feel they cannot make a strong stand and they use NBCC. This is the way I'm looking at it. So rather than looking at the church, let the government make its own decision. The church will never be able to do these things or will never be able to sanction. That's the point we're trying to say.
Thank you, sir. I think with this word, we would wrap up. So, wonderful discussion program.